Good evening and welcome to Chicago Tonight. I'm Amanda Vinicky. Brandis Friedman and Paris Schutz have the evening off. Here's what we're looking at. Transparency advocates are sounding the alarm over online access to local government meetings.
When it comes to the number of units of local government, we're number one.
If it seems like Illinois has a lot of local governmental bodies, that's because it does. More than any other state, we look at the impact on taxpayers. There are no black bear populations in Illinois, so why did residents see 3 in the span of a week?
Taking basketball rims down does not make your neighborhood safer, but putting them back up can be the start to building community.
A local community organizer on why he says bringing basketball back to city parks will help make Chicago safer. And glorious voices revive a gospel musical that reimagines a classic play. And now to some of today's top stories. Chicago Police Union leadership is calling on Mayor Brandon Johnson to give its members 12 weeks parental leave. The move comes after Johnson inked a parental leave policy with Chicago Public Schools employees last week, and they didn't have to bargain for it. Police Union President John Catanzara says he's demanding the same treatment.
We certainly expect the same considerations for our membership. The call was placed to Mayor Johnson's team. The conversation was had, and our position was well stated, and we look forward for a response very quickly.
Illinois becomes the first state to ban book bans.
And this is coming at a moment where book banning has reached unprecedented levels. We have to stand up for what's right and be able to tell our stories and freely access our collective and diverse history.
Governor J.B. Pritzker says last year Illinois saw 67 attempts to ban books. He says the vitriolic strain of white nationalists are responsible. Under the measure, Illinois libraries must prohibit book censorship. If not, they cannot receive state grants. It's time for waterworks in Dixmoor with the groundbreaking of a $2 million water main and infrastructure project to help get the water working better in the South Suburban community, which has suffered boil orders and shutoffs. Funding's thanks to the federal infrastructure program.
Reliable water access is the lifeblood of a community. When a water system breaks, everything shuts down. Businesses, schools, and public services can't conduct critical operations, and residents can't go about their daily lives. Dixmoor understands these realities all too well.
All aboard Amtrak's Lincoln service, which goes from Chicago through Bloomington and Springfield to St. Louis and back, is getting faster by as much as 31 miles an hour. To be exact, trains will reach 110 miles per hour starting June 26th. That'll shave travel times by 15 minutes to a half an hour. The nearly $2 billion high-speed rail project that began in 2010 also includes station and safety upgrades. Illinois' previous governor is now a Florida resident, but Bruce Rauner was back in Springfield today for official business. The unveiling of his portrait. It now hangs alongside Illinois' other former governors, most of whom Rauner joked were honorable public servants who did not go to prison.
And it was a privilege and a pleasure for Evelyn and I to come together to work for you. And it was difficult. We had many challenges. I lost 22 pounds and most of my hair, and it was very stressful. My hair has not come back.
Even though he does have more hair in that portrait. Evanston artist Richard Halstead painted it. Rauner says he is currently focused on supporting entrepreneurs, environmental conservation, and education. He wouldn't comment on Governor Pritzker's frequent criticism of his administration, but says it would be a step back if Illinois were to let lapse a private school scholarship tax credit program that Rauner signed into law in 2018. Up next in the program, the future of online access to public government meetings. That's right after this.
Chicago Tonight is made possible in part by Alexandra and John Nichols, the Jim and Kay Mabey family, the Polk Brothers Foundation, and the support of these donors.
The ability of Chicagoans to keep tabs on city boards and commissions online is in doubt now that in-person meetings are back on the agenda. After going virtual during the COVID-19 pandemic, no rules require officials to continue streaming those meetings online. WTTW News reporter Heather Sharon joins us now with the latest on what good government advocates say could be a massive step back for transparency and equity. Heather, all city boards and commissions can no longer meet virtually, at least none of them. Why?
Well, on May 11th, Governor J.B. Pritzker ended the public health emergency that was designed to allow these meetings to take place virtually to stop the spread of COVID-19. That means these boards and commissions have to meet in person, but there's no rule requiring that they stream themselves online. That means that things happen on a case-by-case basis. And when the Chicago Commission on Landmarks met for the first time after the rules changed, that meeting wasn't streamed, leaving people hoping to log on out of luck.
Even though they clearly have the technical capability to do so, as they've proven. So why does it matter?
Well, because people have gotten used during the pandemic to logging on with a click of the button and keeping tabs on their elected and appointed officials. And that has meant that these meetings have been more visible and accountable to people than ever before, something that happened in the pandemic and really caught people by surprise. David Greising of the Better Government Association, a good government watchdog, said this was something people appreciated and should be maintained.
Yeah, you can do it maybe over your lunch hour, even if you're not able to actually physically get to a meeting. So Chicagoans, though, let's talk about city council, what you cover a lot. Chicagoans still able to log on and watch those at least?
They can, because the City Council's rules of procedures require those committee meetings and City Council meetings to be available online. And in fact, members of the public can call in and participate either by Zoom or by phone. However, those rules don't apply to all of the boards and commissions, and it is a case-by-case basis. The Ethics Board, for example, allows them to do just that, but not everyone. And that's what David Greising says has to be changed citywide. There should be one rule providing for access and transparency and equity.
And again, they clearly have the option, so it seems like it shouldn't be that tough an ask, but we'll see.
Yes, we will.
You can read Heather's full story on our website. It is at WTTW.com/news. Then after the break, Nick Blumberg will be here with a look at Illinois' seemingly endless bureaucracy. Stay with us.
You might have noticed we talk a lot about local government on this program, the people who run it and the way it affects our lives. But another key to understanding how our state works is understanding just what units of government are, how they're funded, and why the land of Lincoln has so many. Here's the latest in our digital series, WTTW News Explains.
When you hear local government, you probably think of the city of Chicago or Cook County. Maybe you consider wards and precincts, but you're probably not thinking of airports and mosquito abatement. You should be. Units of local government refer to cities, counties, townships, sure, general purpose political subdivisions of a state, and special purpose things like airports, museums, roads, and bridges. In the big old US of A, Illinois may be 25th in size and 6th in population, but when it comes to the number of units of local government, we're number one. Woo! Depending on how you count, the land of Lincoln is home to 7,000 to 9,000 units of local government. Let's pick a place as an example. How about the village of Gurnee? It's home to more than just roller coasters and water slides. There are plenty of units of local government, including an elementary school district, a high school district, the College of Lake County itself, a park district, a library district, the fire department, the North Shore Water Reclamation District, the Central Lake County Joint Action Water Agency. In other parts of the county, you have a mosquito abatement district. Ow. A flood prevention district, and even a tuberculosis sanatorium. And they can all cost money. Enter property tax, sales tax, bonds, and even loans. Sound complicated? Well, to add another layer, some units of government cover only a single municipality, whereas others serve multiple, or a township, or a whole county, which are themselves units of government as well. Think of it as like a nesting doll of bureaucracy. Critics want to streamline things. They say many of these authorities are unnecessary and inflate property tax bills. Supporters argue the cost per taxpayer isn't much and that these specialized districts can better meet the needs of residents. Over the last few years, lawmakers in Springfield have tried to make it easier to consolidate or eliminate units of local government, but with thousands still on the books, our state's behemoth bureaucracy isn't likely to shrink anytime soon.
You can find more episodes of our WTTW News Explained series on our website. And joining us with more on the many units of government that make up our great state and the debate over whether we should cut back on them are Austin Berg, Vice President of Marketing at the Illinois Policy Institute, and from Springfield, Jerry Crabtree, Executive Director of Township Officials of Illinois, which represents more than 1,400 townships across the state. Thank you both for joining us. We appreciate you being here. Jerry Crabtree, I'd like to start with you, please. Many units of government are quite small in scope. Does that limited focus benefit residents?
I think it does, because it's the most vulnerable in the population. That if our unit of local government, I'm concerned with the 1,426 townships in the state of Illinois, and remember that 85% of our members represent populations of 5,000 or less. So we're fiscally responsible to the most vulnerable members of the population.
Austin Berg, are Illinois residents well served by having so many units of government?
I think that should be really up to them to decide. And the problem with this massive proliferation of local governments throughout the state is that it was very easy to create these once upon a time. That's why we have thousands and thousands and thousands. But it's almost impossible to change them, to redesign them, to get rid of them if the case may be. And I think what most people in Illinois agree on is that we pay really, really high property taxes, the first or second highest in the nation, depending on how you calculate it. But we're not getting the first or second highest quality in government services. So our position is that you really need to let voters decide, to make it much easier to bring this question to voters on whether they should consolidate or not.
Yeah, and I'd like to talk more about that coming up. But, Jerry Crabtree, advocates for streamlining, obviously you heard just now, they say these tax dollars that support units of government are a burden on Illinoisans. What do you make of that argument?
Well, by burden, I think if you're looking at the property tax bill as a whole, the average property tax percentage that townships feed off of is between 2 and 3%. Where the average school district population is, or percentage is 65%. I agree with the Illinois Institute that, the voters have to decide. And I would say that in my years of being here, every time it's challenged, it's always, loses at the polls. And that's always been our advocacy, is let the voters determine. But the fiscal responsibility is so low that it's not going to solve the property tax problem or save money.
Austin, are there reliable estimates of how much money could be saved by consolidating units of government?
We can barely get a reliable estimate on how many units of local government there are. That's how crazy this problem has really become. In 40 states, the average person lives under 2 units of local government, just 2 units of local government. In Illinois, you have areas where people are living under 16 units of local government. And of course, changing that isn't going to change your property tax bill overnight, but our property taxes right now are death by 1,000 cuts. You don't need 2 kitchens to serve a family meal in your house, right? You don't need 17 cars in the driveway, maybe you need 2. So I think these changes around the edges actually really do add up, and hopefully people really become educated about how many layers are in their community and ways that they can consolidate them. At the state level right now, you really need legislation to make this easier for people to tackle in their local communities.
Well, and to that point, Jerry Crabtree, lawmakers in past years have considered letting voters dissolve or consolidate units of local government via referendum. It sounds like that's something you're supportive of. Do you see that as going anywhere in Springfield?
The system has always allowed for it. This isn't new. There is a statutory provision that would allow it. Our association has always had this position that if it makes fiscal responsible sense to consolidate or eliminate, that's a whole different area. Any consolidated effort must be left up to the voters. And most of the time, the voters will vote it to keep it because it is the government and township government most common to the community. And I think as Austin has indicated, it's the different layers of government that you have to look at. And township government is one that is very effective locally if it's financially supported and the services that they provide are needed services for the community. And I don't believe that other units of government could take over those at the same level of service.
Austin, we've got about 30 seconds left, but I want to ask you, do you think there's a possibility that residents who, vote to eliminate or consolidate some of these units of government might regret that vote?
Maybe, but that's the nature of democracy, and I think what's most important is that people have the voice, people have the option. One gentleman that we work with extensively, his name's Bob Anderson. He's from Wonder Lake in McHenry County. His property tax bill today is higher than the value of the house that he built when he first moved there. He's been trying to consolidate government for years, and all he's faced is personal intimidation, attacks, nails on the driveway of his barbershop. We're just asking for Illinois lawmakers to make it easier for residents like Bob to serve their communities better.
A long-running conversation in Illinois, and one that I imagine is not going anywhere anytime soon. Thank you both for joining us, Jerry Crabtree and Austin Berg. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Up next, Amanda will be back with a look at bears in the suburbs, and this time we are not talking about football. But first, a look at the weather.
The Chicago Bears aren't the only ones showing interest in the suburbs. In the span of a week, there have been 2 black bear sightings in Lake County and a third spotted in Randolph County in southern Illinois. WTTW news reporter Patty Wetley joins us now with more. Patty, where have residents spotted these bears?
Well, the first sighting was in a parking lot near a daycare center in Gurnee.
A daycare center.
That was
great.
last week on Wednesday, and then on Saturday, one showed up on someone's deck in unincorporated Antioch. So, kind of close. We're not sure if that's the same bear or 2 separate bears.
Family of bears.
Exciting.
Who knows?
Yes.
Is that common for Illinois?
No.
Didn't think so.
They used to live here. We got rid of them all one way or another in the late 1800s. And there have only been maybe like half a dozen sightings, including these, since 2008. And it's bears who will dip down from Wisconsin, come up from Missouri. Likely that's what's happening with these in Lake County, but, who knows?
Still a little too close for comfort for my taste.
We are Bears territory here, though.
All right, so if you do see a bear, not talking the football players, the real kind,
yes,
they are dangerous, right? So what are you supposed to do?
The number one tip, don't run. That might be your first instinct. Don't do it, because it might then mistake you for prey. So stand your ground, make yourself look big, and then slowly back away. And if it does, come into contact with you, try and fight it off. Not
Don't
play dead.
Okay.
That's a grizzly bear. These are black bears. Go for it,
Punch it. Get
Use
that
your
fighting
best side,
spirit. All
yes.
right. Pretend like you're on the field
Defensive
with
tackle.
the Packers.
Yes,
there
exactly.
We go. All right. Well, Patty, thank you for that preparation.
Sure. Just in case. You never know.
You can read Patty's full story on our website. That is WTTW.com/news. Now, up next, sounds from a gospel musical with an all-star Chicago cast. When gospel music merges with an ancient Greek text, you could call it almost a Holy Communion. It's a revival in more ways than one, and it brings ecstatic church music into the theater. Chicago Tonight visited a final rehearsal for The Gospel at Colonis. Producer Mark Vitale recently brought us this story from Court Theater. Here's another look.
The spirit in all of us is not Christian, it's not Jewish, it's not Muslim, it's not Greek. Well, it's a little Greek because that's what it's about, but it's a spiritual event.
It's a rarely performed show called The Gospel at Colonis. Morgan Freeman was in the original cast in 1983, and that production inspired the career of at least one member of the audience.
I saw the original production in 1983 at the Brooklyn Academy of Music, and as a result decided, hey, if classic texts and music can create such a spiritual event that lifts the entire community in that theater to a cathartic experience like one imagines in Greek theater, and yet it's contemporary for today, and it's all of us doing that together, that's what I wanted to do with my life. And so it feels like I've been preparing this for 30 years, even though we only got 2 more days to go before we open, so I can't wait.
Oh, sunlight of no light.
It is based on Oedipus at Colonis, Sophocles' 2,500-year-old play about an aging king who seeks redemption after a life of sin.
Crying hallelujah, lift him up in a blaze of glory.
One of the cast members performed in the original world tour. The role she originally played is now being performed by her daughter. The directors have high praise for the all-Chicago cast.
Man, we have one of the most talented casts I've ever worked with. You know, as an actor, I come up here in Chicago. I come up in the community here. I've been doing theater with many of these people. And somehow we got, as Charlie calls, an embarrassment of riches. I mean, we have talent, and a big goal of ours was that everybody be showcased in some way, even if it's just a line here or there, that everyone's voice be showcased.
Oh, listen, baby.
The actor-director was a finalist on The Voice, so he knows about voices being showcased. The directors are both sons of preachers. Following rehearsal, they give final notes to the cast in advance of opening night.
Yeah, I mean, taking Sophocles' play Oedipus at Colonis and putting it in the context of spirituality expressed through a Black Pentecostal worship and spirit, it's a combination of the two that creates this third thing.
I'm here to tell you, it's not one or the other. It's truly its own entity. It's a spiritual thing.
For Chicago Tonight, this is Mark Vitale.
What voices. Wow. The Gospel at Colonis runs through June 18th at the Court Theater in Hyde Park. Summer in Chicago is when parks come alive with people enjoying the outdoors and especially playing sports. But in recent years, basketball nets and even rims in some city parks have been removed, leaving kids who want to play without a shot. And Jamal Cole says that's not fair. Here he tells us why bringing back basketball to parks will lead to a safer city.
My name is Jamal Cole. I'm the founder of My Block, My Hood, My City. We're a social impact organization, and our mission is to take care of people no matter what. I'm at Columbus Park because, you know, it's summertime, and all over Chicago, we're starting to notice basketball rims being taken down. And more than that, we're starting to see anti-theft steering wheel locks put on basketball hoops, preventing kids from being able to shoot. Because I don't see y'all taking down the tennis nets, I don't see y'all taking down the volleyball nets, I don't see y'all taking down the soccer nets, but y'all putting steering wheel locks on basketball rims, that's not fair, and parks belong to everybody. How are you gonna find the next Isaiah Thomas or the next Derrick Rose if you can't even play street ball, right? I love basketball. Basketball took me around the world. Like, I went to college, I got a business degree, but it all started on the streets playing basketball. The parks are an easy way for you to make friends. Playing basketball is a good way for you to build leadership, learn discipline, learn how to be on time. You get to meet your neighbors. You say, oh, I recognize who you were. You get to have small talk in community, right? That's what the parks are for. Like, taking basketball rims down does not make your neighborhood safer, but putting them back up can be the start to building community. If the spaces are active, if the basketball rims are up, then 40 to 60 kids per day can be playing at those courts. That's keeping 40 to 60 kids out of gangs, out of trouble, out of breaking into your crib. That's giving them something to do, for real. We hear about all these carjackings going on. These kids are on the court, they're not breaking into cars. They're actually, and people like me can mentor them. While we're on the court, we can talk to them. We're doing something about it. We have a Save Street Ball initiative. We are raising money for new nets and new hoops all throughout Chicago. Let us know if you have a neighborhood park that needs a new rim or needs a new net. Donate to the initiative. We need y'all support to make it happen. We're gonna come work with your community, work with the park district, friends of the parks, a couple of your friends, a couple of my friends, anybody that wants to save street ball and just have a safe summer. If you see me out on the court in your neighborhood, come play 32 with me, come play 21. I want to get to know you. I love Chicago, right? And I love Chicagoans. That's what come holler at me.
Not playing around. You can find more on Jamal Cole's Save Street Ball initiative on our website. And that is our show for this Monday night. Don't forget, you can get Chicago Tonight streamed on Facebook, YouTube, and on our website, WTTW.com/news. You can also get the show via podcast and the PBS video app. Join us tomorrow night at 5:30 and 10. A plan to transform hundreds of vacant acres in the western suburbs and how neighbors are reacting. Plus, local AM radio stations at risk amid a changing auto industry. Now, for all of us here at Chicago Tonight, I'm Amanda Vinicky. Thank you for watching and have a great night.
Closed captioning is made possible by Robert A. Clifford and Clifford Law Offices, a Chicago personal injury and wrongful death firm that is proud to recognize its 18 attorneys selected for the 2023 Super Lawyers List.